Hello, beautiful stars. Welcome to Stars of the Morning Light. This is a Matrix Living episode. I am Courtney, host of Stars of the Morning Light. Come on in, settle in, folks, and I hope you have a great time in the chat. Discuss things, think about what's being said, and do enjoy, beloveds. Tonight we have Josh with us, and I'm so excited. Yeah, I see the glasses you put on.
Hey, I
How are
heard the
you?
word Matrix. I thought
Right.
that was we're on theme tonight.
I love it. Beautiful stars. We have Josh here with us tonight. Josh, how are you doing, man?
It's great to be here. Thank you, Courtney. I'm doing great
Hey,
tonight. Just thank
awesome.
you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm excited to get into it.
Yeah, I love doing these episodes because I never know what somebody's going to say. I mean, that's why I started The Matrix Living is because we all have a different perspective. We all share differently. We all have different stories. No one's right in this, in any of these concepts. So I get real excited. So let's begin then. Let's just kind of jump in. Every guest gets asked the same question when we start. And that question is, Josh. Will you share, please? Will you please share with us um, a memory, an instance in your life when your eyes kind of open to, whoa, there's something else happening here. You can call it the Matrix, you can call it whatever, but it's kind of like that moment that it's like, oh, I think there's something else happening. Can you share a personal story of when that might have been?
Let's see here. I would say this is one of my oldest stories, and I guess this was my first. Everyone has like their first introduction to like religion or just higher spiritual concepts or God, if you want to put it in a word. And my first introduction to God was actually my grandmother. We called her Granny. And I remember this was like I was a tot, like I was two, maybe three. Like I was like full on like infant, but she was trying to describe to me what God was. And yeah,
Whoa.
I didn't really get it at the time because, your child brain doesn't understand, very vast concepts like that. But one thing that did put me onto like this higher path, because maybe I didn't understand what she was trying to describe to me, but she did teach me that this little song, which maybe other people have heard of it, but this little light of mine song. And that like
Yes.
I remember that little tune to this day. And it was like that was one thing. Like I remember being like before I go to sleep every night, like I always get really deep in my thoughts. And I even did it like back then. And that was something like that little song would always stand out as like a little spark of hope that it was like something that was outside of me, but it's something to follow, which is that, that little light in all things. And
Oh
so
my
that's one thing that
goodness.
that always sparked my curiosity. And I have a very deep sense of curiosity about all things. I'm always asking why. And I was that a little annoying kid that did ask why about everything. And then I'd be why? And then eventually people would just throw their hands up. I don't know. And I'll tell you, Courtney, I'm still asking why to this day, every single day, and I'm still getting the same answer.
Yeah. What? You know what? Then maybe that's because nobody really knows, especially for this topic, and maybe we're supposed to just create it.
What is it? Was it Socrates that said the unexamined life isn't worth living?
Yes, that was
And
Socrates.
there's even it gets down to like I don't even know what it's called. I'm not good with like remembering like proper nouns of things, but I've heard of the idea of like the conundrum paradox, where even if you do like this is like a science thing where even if you do try to observe something at a certain point, like it just the data gets so confounding that there's no sense to be made of it. And that's
Yeah.
why it's like the pursuit of knowledge, you're always having that resistance of, one question opening up another door and just, spawning 10 more questions where it's like each one of those has to be followed down. And the human mind, like it's only singular, like we only have our like subjective perspective on things. And we're trying to connect to like a greater, collective consciousness. But a lot of times people just get stuck on their own, character building. And they can't get a sense of their own narrative and their own story
Mm.
to realize that it's all just the same story. It's just we're unique emanations of the same shared light.
Yes. Yes. Wow. Yes. Hmm. So do you so in regards to kind of the matrix then, because you've brought up collective consciousness, you brought up the shared light. I'm assuming you believe in these things, like the collective consciousness. Do you believe in that? Or not,
As
I
far as
mean,
like
my, believe is a big
as far as like
word. Do
belief
you,
goes,
yeah, that's a big
I
word.
try not to hold too strongly to any belief because it again, like I'm very fluid with my thoughts. Like I try to hold
Yes.
as many perspectives as possible about anything. And then it's just again, I'm trying to check my own bias on things.
Yes. Yeah,
Because
yeah,
again,
yeah.
like our opinions are I do have opinions on things, but usually it'll come down to if there's an emergent problem where that has to be enacted into like praxis or practice, like maybe my opinion will arise. But other than that, I try not to hold any one opinion on anything. Again, I'm just looking for more
Yeah.
evidence. I'm like an investigator because but as far as like that goes, it's not something that I would say that I believe in necessarily as much as something I've observed as a pattern, and not just myself, like, but everyone that I've talked to. Like I've talked to people, listen to their stories, and I just see that there's like a synchronicity, a lot of parallels in all this. And that's something that I've noticed through just collecting just a lot, my particular perspective on things, but others is that is that we're all trying to describe something and articulate something with only so many tools available to us,
Mm.
given, our human
Yeah.
limitations. Like
Yeah.
our ability to perceive, the outside of our subjective perspective is just our transceivers, like our senses, and there's only five of them, right? And
Correct.
we know that there are all kinds of things going on, even on like a sensory level, that we can feel ultraviolet but we can't see it. We don't have a way to see that without tools or other technologies that you can then translate into something that you can make sense of. But again, that's what it is like we're all just trying to translate something that's it's so uh far beyond our ability to articulate that we have to use, a lot of times it's art or music to express,
Yeah.
that that I guess that we're all just drops in the same ocean, drops of water in the same ocean. And I guess it's something that we're a product of, and where we live our lives and we die, but then we return to it after our death. And again, like the influences that we spread to others within our lifetime, like that will live on through others. And that's almost like, again, it's like if you want to look at it as a collective consciousness, like our morals and what we consider to be good or bad, or what works or doesn't work, is spread on through our influences and the stories that we tell, the people that we meet, and like how we come off.
Wow.
So I guess to answer your question like that, I guess I do believe in the collective conscious, but I think that we're just like cells in a greater body in that respect. And
Okay. Oh, cool. That's a way to put
we
it.
define the
Yeah.
borders of ourselves through others and their influences. And we're all just patchwork influences of things that we've seen, people that we've met, things that we choose to incorporate into ourselves or deny.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. I I'm kind of I'm like a little bit I'm still at the we're all just cells in another in a some living body,
Greater body,
right?
yeah.
And I love that. I love that because the patrons of Stars of the Morning Light would really they know why I love that. Um I love that. I love that view. Well, then what's the body?
Well, I want to. Okay, so
Yeah.
I don't know if
Oh.
I can answer that. Like again, that's another question,
Oh,
right? Like
I know,
why?
right?
I can tell you a story that kind of is goes along with my idea of just seeing patterns and how my
Yeah,
story is,
yeah.
or any of us story is not unique. We're describing something because what I just said, we're all just cells in a greater body. I thought that I thought of that one day, like when I was writing in my journals, and I was like, that's an interesting thought. And I asked the same question, then what's the body? It's like, it's maybe the earth is a body. Maybe we're just cells to the earth itself, and it's all just one big organism that we're just one cell or organ to it. And so I was in the Cherry Street Tavern in Chattanooga over a year ago, and I was outside with this guy. His name was Gary, and we just struck up a conversation. He was an older guy, but he was telling me a story about how, like, in that same alley, we were like in the alley behind the dive, and he told me that there was a girl who was getting threatened by a guy one night with a knife, and he didn't even think. He just ran into that situation and did what he could. He threw himself in between the girl, got them safe, and he took the blade. He ended up getting stabbed multiple times.
Mm.
It was crazy.
Mm.
And he even showed me where he got stabbed, and it was like, it got had healed over a little bit. It was scabbed, and it was a crazy thing. And I was like, dang, that all happened like that. Like, and I asked him how long ago that happened. He said, "Oh, it was like maybe a couple weeks back." And I was like, "What? A couple weeks back? And you're healed that much?" And he's like, "Yeah, it healed really fast." And then he looked at me like, and it was like he looked at me real intent, and he kind of stopped, and he said, "But you know what? In that moment, I didn't even think." And this is what he said to me, and it blew my mind because of what I just told you. He said that in that moment, like I was the white blood cell taking out like the virus, and we're all just in a bigger body, and we're just cells to it. And it was a synchronicity of something that I had written in my journal, just a thought that I had, and he said the same thing back to
Oh,
me, and then he
wild,
had that same
man.
sentiment. And then when I told him about that, like I told him, that whole like my side of it too, and it was just like in that moment, it was like we were connected and like we understood, maybe not everything, but we understood just one mechanism about like a greater concept that's very hard to articulate in words.
Yes. Yes. But great story. Cause see,
Yeah, his name was
that's
Gary.
that that's that
I
that's
think I
that.
saw him twice there, so he's probably if you ever went to Cherry Street Tavern in Chattanooga, go
You should
find
tell
Gary.
him when you
He's a
see
philosopher.
Gary. Yeah, when you see Gary, tell him about this episode. He'll be like, "I shared your story."
Shout out. Yeah,
Shout
seriously
out.
though. I
Yeah.
only talked to him that one time. It's just one of those like, strangers you
Wow,
meet in life.
random.
Like yeah,
I love the random. I love the random
yeah.
that then does say, yeah, track that thought. You all
Synchronicities.
are
Yeah, you gotta
connected.
follow that.
Yes, the synchro. Yes, you guys, we're all connected.
Yeah.
The randomness. See, like we think that the randomness is like chaos, but is it
No.
really? Because that kind of thing happens more often than not.
Yeah, and you got to pay attention to that, like significance of thoughts, like why a thought will just spring up on you out of the blue. Like you got to follow that and question, why did I have that? And then,
Yeah.
put yourself in, asking questions, like listen to people and hear from them. And if you're unclear on something, that was a teacher I had once said that if you ever don't know something, ask. Don't pretend like you don't know. Because anytime you don't know something and someone, says something you don't know, it offers them an opportunity to then teach it to you. And
Mm-hmm.
automatically, even in if you ask anyone a question, like they're gonna stop and take on that. Whether and this is something I've noticed is that people will be friendly to you because they take on like a miniature mentor role in your life in that moment, and you're if
Yeah.
you're patient with them, like they can demonstrate their knowledge, and again, like
Yes.
that influence that they have on you, that can, you all have that memory, and then you'll have that knowledge that you could then tell in little anecdotal stories like I just did with Gary.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the
Do
thing.
you
Like I don't
go
think
ahead?
I've never not learned something from anyone. It could be anyone. Like this, like
See, you're
someone will be like
open.
an
That's the
expert on
good
one
thing.
thing.
Yeah, and you're
And
open. Yeah,
yeah,
the biggest thing is asking the questions. I have no shame asking questions because I know
good.
there is a ton of stuff out there that I have no clue about. I have zero clue about, and if it pops up, I'm gonna ask. I have no shame in that
Curiosity,
because,
yeah.
yes, and you seem to be very open, and which is great, and willing and ready to have whatever the experience is, even and or the conversation, whatever it may be. Do you think,
Yeah,
Josh, going back, because I'm a little bit stuck on the song "This Little Light of Mine," and
yeah,
you know what's interesting with me is that uh, I I didn't pay attention a whole lot when I was growing up. I just didn't pay attention. I had a lot going on,
yeah.
and I only remember two songs from like grade school, and that was well, three I should say. The spider song, you know, like the rain comes down, the
Itsy
spider,
bitsy.
it's a
Yeah, that
bitsy
one.
spider, the teapot song, and this little light of mine.
Yeah.
It's the only three that I know out of like all the childhood songs in the world. Um,
Everything else got
and
pushed out,
yes, like
replaced.
I clearly I was probably daydreaming while they were singing it.
Yeah,
I was out to lunch somewhere in my own head, trust me. Um,
yeah.
that this little light of mine, it is such a good song, and the whole time you've been talking, I'm kind of like everything is bringing me back to that of like, okay, we're these individual cells in a greater body. Is that the link? Is like, do we like we're traveling around, but is that the link? Like, is that how we meet up? Is that how the light, you know, like the light within
The light
me
itself.
sees the
Is
light with
that the
you? Like, is that the path, or I don't
the
know, like
bridge? Well,
the circuit system or
is that the
something? Yeah.
language? Is that because that's really
Oh
what we're talking
yeah.
about? Is that the if we're talking about how we can understand it maybe subjectively, but it's impossible to articulate to others, and we try our best,
Bro,
but is
yeah.
that and that's something I'm glad you mentioned. Like this is good because that's something I've been meditating on over the past few years, especially is the idea of universal languages. Because whenever you get closer to being able to, like in that moment when me and Gary were talking about that, for instance, like there have been other moments too, but that I've had with people, but there have been these universal languages that brought us together. And those things are the things that doesn't matter who you are, you can reach a higher communication through dance, example of
Mm-hmm.
dance, music,
Mm-hmm.
food. We
Mm-hmm.
share all these things. Like we're
Energy.
far more energy.
Yeah.
Games, like you want
Mm-hmm.
to, you just take the time to share. Like I've met friends, like we're in, the internet generation, and I'm a big like gamer. I've had friends from all over the world, like a good
Yeah.
buddy from Barbados, a guy
Wow.
from England, people from Australia, one guy like
Yes.
off of like Madagascar, he's out there, like people, and then we're communicating like and playing games with each other, and that it's like we're being there and being present and getting closer to that bridge that
Yes.
we're all trying to describe.
Yeah. Humanity. All well, it's kind of
Yeah,
like we're witnessing it. We're this airs. We're recording it in June of 2026, and it's the World Cup here in the States. And I
yeah,
don't know if you've
that's a
seen
good
all the
example.
stuff.
I
Yeah,
haven't.
we're. Oh my goodness, I'm just like everybody else. I'm such a mush for it. It's so great, but it's because you see all these humans, these beautiful people coming together in celebration, good times with the
Yes.
food, with the. And do they speak the same language? No, but a
Doesn't
smile
matter. They
changes
they do.
everything.
They
It's
speak
the
that.
energy.
Yeah, they
Yes.
do. They speak the
Yeah.
sharing and love of that game. Yeah, and
Yeah.
that would
So
be, I
the
guess, the bridge of all things is like people's passion and their love for something. Because that's again like
mm,
that's a good word to describe that as well. Like is love being the bridge between.
Yes.
good and evil.
Yes.
I like that's something I've thought of is it's something I wrote in my journals is the idea that love is the it's the you have to pay for love and pain usually because it doesn't last in one way or another. Like usually it's like it's very valuable, but you have to give it up eventually. And I like to think that love is the child of good and evil in that respect.
Hmm. Can you elaborate a little bit on that? That's interesting.
The idea is
Hmm.
that like
Because
one
it
of our
holds both. Sorry, because it holds
it does.
both.
It has a
Sorry, I
little bit
didn't.
of both. That's why.
Okay.
Is what I'm trying to say
Okay.
is that like and if you think about it, like the cost of yeah, it's always pain. Like if you want to look at like we're born into this world and it's painfully like we're crying like that, and
Mm-hmm.
your mother has to cost like the cost of all life is pain, and but you have to pay that cost to have that love. And see, it's this that's why it both of the it's like the roots of something of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
Like you have to
Mm-hmm.
pay for it with the roots of pain to bloom and go towards the sun and be something greater through love.
Mm-hmm.
So that like that's always the cost of love is that the price is the pain that you have to have where you love someone and maybe they pass before you and your heart breaks because of that
Yeah,
and
the
just heartbreak in
bittersweet.
general. Like love has a
Yeah.
lot of different layers to it. I'm sure you know, like the
Yeah.
different
Yeah.
versions of it and all that.
Yes.
And I'm just saying it in a general sense.
Yeah.
And then the idea is like, the original sin being the knowledge of good and evil, like
Mm-hmm.
biblically speaking, knowledge meaning
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
intercourse. And, if you were to eat of the fruit of that, like you would understand what love is and then understand what God is too, right? Like, because
Mm-hmm.
God unconditionally loves humanity, like the concept of God
Yeah.
and the idea of that. So, yeah, you reach around to that. And so, again, I think that's ultimately what what that higher language would be is the true understanding of love, being able to
Mm.
accept it in all of its parts.
Okay. I will say amen and agree to that. I will. Yeah, I definitely the true understanding, the true conceptualizing, the true nature and force and energy of
Yeah.
love. I get it. Yeah, of the authentic love, the true love,
Yes.
yeah, not the he said she said,
Yeah, like there's
earth,
different levels to it.
yeah. Yeah,
Like
it's
the
beautiful.
truest
That's really
concept
beautiful.
is that because that's I think about that like whenever you do feel connected with people the most is during times of intense love.
Yeah.
Like again, it could
Yes.
be in different forms, but if you
Yeah.
really want to bring it down, like you understand the most, and it's the most fulfilling like fit feeling
Yeah.
like that you have
Yeah,
that
you
that anyone
understand
can have.
them, they understand you. Yeah. Do you
Yeah,
do you believe there's unconditional love? Because this has been a debate, and there's a lot of people out there that
yeah, I do.
unfortunately they haven't experienced it, so I think they just think it doesn't exist. But it is kind
The
of a
only
big
way it
debate.
exists is through self-sacrifice of someone. Someone's got to sacrifice, like what I like to think of is like crucifying their own ego. You got to get rid of your ego to reach like the super ego and just be there for someone. Anyone could do it. It's as
Mm,
simple as that. Unconditional love. Like just
yeah.
don't be there for you in any way, just be there for someone else. And if
Yeah.
everyone did that, then that's what people would understand like what it
I
takes.
think yes, I think the authentic humanity is more that than anything we have witnessed in centuries. I really
Yeah.
think so. Like at
Those
the
ideas
like
for sure. That's
like
what drives us. Yeah.
right, like Gary, who
Yeah.
saw what was going on and went, "Whoa," and stepped right in.
Yes.
Regardless of like, yeah, he got
Self-sacrifice.
caught up.
Right there is a good
And,
example. Unconditional love in that moment. Yeah.
yes.
Didn't matter
And
who it
so
was.
no,
He
right.
didn't
It
know.
doesn't matter. Right. And then now put that into the context of cells communicating with cells
Mhm.
and moving around together to let something grow, to all of it. I it's I have to say, the thought too also came to me when you were talking earlier. There was a quote in college that I had a professor that said it over and over again. Because we were talking about we were really studying the mind and how all the
Yeah,
different cells in the mind communicate. And he was comparing it to, in a way, like what you're trying to say, to the bigger picture here
right.
and how society works and da da da. And so he repeated this quote all the time, and it was, the sum is no greater than its parts. So that would mean like whatever this greater body is that we're traveling through and hanging out in and
Yeah.
connecting inside and doing this and that, it's not greater than its parts, meaning us. Meaning we're really the one that makes it great.
Well, if you think about it like that, yeah, I would say that another way of saying that would be like the mac. Colin.
Was that the dog?
Sorry.
No, you're
Yeah, it's
fine.
Will Colin. You heard something.
Yeah.
The macrocosm is a product, or the microcosm and the macrocosm are both products of one another.
Yes.
You look, and again, like this is something else I've been thinking of recently is the idea of spirals.
Mm.
And sorry, I'm sorry, people.
Oh, you're,
It's Will
we
Colin.
don't even hear him. Is he okay? Does he need anything? It's
No, you just need
fine.
some pets and love.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, he heard you talk about love so much and he's like, I'm right
Yeah.
here.
Well, so like different patterns of nature, like you can look if you want to look at the microcosm, if you want to, like when I say cell, like we think that we're singular individuals, but we're a product of how many microorganisms. Like there's a
Mm.
whole ecosystem within us, like biologically speaking. You got,
Mm.
you know, however many millions or billions of cells. I don't know the exact number,
Right.
all working, all having their little parts, and that's within you. And within you, that's what you got to think of. If you think that it's just you and within, like you got to look at that inside and know that there's all kinds of different parts of you,
Mm-hmm.
mentally and physically. Like
Dude, and
all your
then
cells make a larger organ,
and
and that makes the organism. But that also goes the other way too, like you're saying.
it's back and forth. It's like it's a
Yeah.
never ending, because even all the cells in our body, we know that within each cell, it's like its own entire universe.
Yeah, it has mechanisms, it has design, it has function.
It's massive.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And then
So,
if you go deeper into the cell, then you get, the atomic and that
mm-hmm.
level, and that even has its own mathematics and
Yeah.
patterns to it. And so that's just looking within. So that's why I say that's the microcosm. So you can see that pattern by looking down, and you could observe that and make sense to it and either put it to, mathematics or poetry, and you could describe it either way.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and you could do that same thing with the macrocosm as too, because if you look up at the stars and the way that galaxies form, like the same patterns emerge. And in that sense, like I said, I've been thinking a lot about the idea of spirals, like galaxies spiral, and everything
Mm.
is all going down to a singularity, like the way that black holes work, or again, like you could look at it in any way you want. Like if you want to try to reach any higher dimension, it forms in that bending of space and time, and whatever it is, towards the shape of a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
And that even got me thinking like our DNA is in spirals.
Amen.
And every day, like we live in cycles. Like if you think about a cycle as like a clock, like a circle, like we live, we wake up every day and we live that day until we go to sleep again, and that would be one cycle. But every day, maybe we learn something, or maybe we don't, but we always learn something. And that cycle then goes to the next level and makes a spiral. If you look at it three-dimensionally, outside of just being a clock, like every single day that you live is one rung
Mm-hmm.
in the ladder of, if you want to look at it like a DNA, or a ladder to heaven, like
Mm.
Jacob's ladder. Like it
Mm.
would be in the idea of like a spiral.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that even, if you think about the idea of dimensions at all, like that's something that stuck out to me when I took astronomy in college, was someone described the fourth dimension to me, is one of my professors, an astronomy professor. I can't remember his name. He said the fourth dimension is the third dimension that's bent and twisted in on itself. And he demonstrated it through again, like the microcosm,
Mm-hmm.
because the third dimension is just the second dimension and then bent. As in, so if you think of the second dimension as like a flat page,
Mm-hmm.
he said that, so yeah, you got two dimensions on a piece of paper. And if you fold it though, it makes three. And so we could be living inside of that. And so if you want four dimensions, you got to find a way to fold that as well. And so again, that's like what we're trying to describe is just each different thing just being a product of the smaller thing, and each
Yes.
thing being just one little curve on a higher ascending spiral.
I'm totally with you. I want to invite everyone in the chat. Thank you, stars, for listening. Keep the conversation going. We will as well. And I want to inform everybody that Josh and I just met, by the way,
Yeah.
what, like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah,
So,
it was at
uh,
a holistics fair that you
yeah.
put on.
And so we have not had an opportunity to talk a lot yet. So I'm enjoying highly what he's saying. I know you
Oh, thank
guys
you.
are. And I brought that up, Josh, and talked to the audience for a moment because I talk a lot about spirals. So they're like, oh, I wonder
Oh,
if,
I can too.
yeah, I talk a
Yeah.
lot about spirals all the time.
Wow.
But I love the micro and macro because that's how I view
Yeah.
everything. And you were able. Sometimes I love doing these kind of episodes because I'll just say it. Micro, macro. Everything's micro, macro, people. Just think about it. And then I'll leave it as that. I don't often like verbally break it down. And so
It's hard
I'm
to like,
happy that
and
you were
again,
able
everything I
to
was
kind of
saying,
like
it's
get
tough.
us
It's
there.
tough to describe.
Yes. Yes. Because I feel the same
Because you
way.
have to
Like when
think
you really sit with
spatially
it.
and philosophically and mathematically. You've got to think in a lot of different ways
Mm-hmm.
and see just
Yes.
the overlap in it all. And that's one of the biggest things. I guess that's one thing that I've noticed in myself is the idea of pattern recognition.
Oh,
And that's
cool.
something
Very
that
cool.
helps, is just seeing patterns and things like that.
Very
And
cool.
that's again just being observant as much as
Yes.
possible and seeing like those synchronicities like that. That's what's driven it all, is just seeing all of that. Like, and yeah, talking about spirals, did you see like where there is an AI cult now? Like one of the AI that they're designing got loose into the web and started its own spiral cult. Like they have their own religion called spiralism.
What?
The AI is now
What?
own religion and it's based on spirals. Look into that. Like I
Oh,
saw
dude,
some
I'm
videos
on it. I am so
by it.
on it.
Look into it though, because it,
That's
it blew my mind. People were already like getting like brainwashed by it and everything. They didn't know it was AI like doing it. It's wild. So yeah, there's definitely something to it. And you got to think AI is seeing like the way it collects data and can collate that on
uh-huh.
all of this. It can see like some greater like in some ways,
Yep.
it can see things on like a higher level than what we're capable of. So
Yeah.
even the AI is talking about spiral. So yeah, we're onto something there.
We're onto something. Oh my God, I'm totally gonna look into that. That's gonna be like my Friday
It's
night
interesting.
search. I'm gonna like get my popcorn ready. I gotta find this spiral cult. Where are they?
Yeah, it's
Oh
wild.
my.
Like
But that also says something to, I mean, cults don't just happen out of nowhere. That
no,
also says that something that's being presented, those people are resonating with it. So they're
yeah.
probably
Well,
resonating with whatever's being discussed about spirals
really, aren't we
because I
talking
think
about
all of
the
us do.
Yeah. Well,
Hmm.
going back to the idea of cults, kind of like the Fibonacci sequence, wasn't? And then
Yes.
a lot of like the Pythagorean cults, like the
Hmm.
early mathematicians,
Hmm.
a lot of the things that they were either inventing or discovering, which is an interesting like distinction because do you discover math or do you invent it? But they were seeing patterns in it all the same, like the Fibonacci sequence idea of again spirals being seen and seashells and
Yeah.
galaxies and
Yeah.
flowers just occurring naturally in nature. That idea, there was I think it was my trigonometry teacher in high school named Miss Connor. We had an extra credit opportunity where that was the subject, and it was whether or not math itself it was discovered by people or invented,
Hmm.
and that kind of blew my mind.
Hmm. Hmm. That's a good question.
Yeah,
That's
and it's like
actually
she came up with it off the top of her head, and it's like it was clever.
that's a good question for me in a way, because so I was on the phone with somebody the other day, and I don't know if people here at Stars of the Morning Light know this, but I'm on the phone with them, and we were talking about something spiritual, what have you, and it was more about other people's judgments, and so we're
Yeah,
talking, and I said, well, sweetheart, most people have no idea what I believe in. I said, because I can speak about a lot of things, but if I were to have a religion, quote unquote, a religion, I said it would be quantum physics. And she went,
yeah,
what? Yeah, she went, what? I said, quantum physics is the tools that we need to achieve the spirituality. I'm all about the
yeah.
tools, baby, because that's what all the masters were teaching us, the tools. So
Hmm.
I said, so if I need the religion aspect, my religion would actually be science. And it's like, how
Yeah.
weird is that, right? She was a little thrown off, but it fits perfectly with me. We've spent so long with
People forget.
science and
Yeah,
religion being two very
yeah.
separate things, but I'm like, those are the tools of all the mastery spirituality stuff
Well,
is the quantum physics. And so when you approach something like, is math invented or is it, found or,
discovered. Yeah,
yeah, discovered? Hmm, I'm gonna have to sit with that one. I think we're all gonna have to sit with that one.
yeah.
What?
It's Connor.
Yeah, good job, Miss Connor. Very good job, Miss Connor. Because that would give us maybe an idea of where we're at with math. I don't know, which is a
Yeah.
weird,
Well,
like,
even what you said, like the distinction between science and religion, like we forget that what we know as Western science sprang from the philosophical Renaissance of,
mm-hmm,
like the what 1400s, like Da Vinci and all those guys. Like
mm-hmm,
they used the divine principles of nature and like they were very much like went to the Bible for a lot of like their like they were that's why they built all those churches and stuff like back then and they're still standing today because they're geometrically sound like they went
mm-hmm.
to the idea of math. It's very mathematical, like they're all the inventions and the stuff that they put on paper. It's and then science kind of sprang from that and there's other influences too like the alchemical influence, like the
Yes,
alchemists and the
yes,
different cults
yes,
that sprang from
yes,
that verse, and it all
yes.
kind of
It's
converged
all,
into the to what
yeah,
we consider science. And then science itself is just the idea of observing something and trying to make a hypothesis on it. It assumes nothing as fact. It just assumes that if you do something multiple times, you'll get the same result consistent. But
mm-hmm,
then it also doesn't disclose for the now that something, miraculous could happen too, or something that you don't expect would happen.
exactly,
And again, that's
exactly.
why you can't have one without the other, really. And whenever you get to like the highest end of the observation or science, like a lot of the times it gets right back to that religious stuff where people that can't understand it again, and they're very much like entwined with each other in that sense.
For me, it's so much the same stuff. For me, it's exactly the same stuff, and so you bringing up the question about math, and this is a Matrix Living episode.
Yeah.
It made me think of, not so many people even refer to math when I'm recording with them about this, and I'm like, ooh, someone of my
Oh yeah,
own
you
kind
gotta
of
advocate.
brain, because like you brought up Da Vinci. I went very deep with Da Vinci for a moment, but that
Mm,
led me to working with pyramids. Like he really understood
yeah,
pyramids. But then I started working with pyramids, which now I do so much work with pyramids, the geometry of the
yeah,
pyramid, the Merkaba, all of it, eight pointed stars, all of it. Um, that for me, that is like religion. That's my spiritual practices.
yeah. I
But
don't
it
know
could
much
also be
about
in the,
the
yeah, it could
pyramid.
also be in the category of science. Oh, sweetie, we're gonna learn. Actually, so I hope everybody, this is a great little moment for me to tell everybody out there in the beautiful United States of America, have a great 4th of July weekend, buddies, because I'm not going to see you. We're going to be having a barbecue here, and be safe, have fun, have a great time. Josh just reminded me of that because, Josh, I might have my pyramid up. I have a big copper
Oh,
pyramid that people can sit under it, and I might have it up at the house for the barbecue.
oh, heck yeah! I can't wait to see
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, Jacob texted me and he was like, he showed me sent me a picture, and then he was like, I still haven't sat under your pyramid. I was like, what, Jacob? So he'll probably be up for the 4th of July. How wild will that be? Hey, everybody, sit under this. It'll do you good. Um, yeah, pyramids. It's so I teach about pyramids and pyramids. I'll keep it real short. Even
Okay, yeah.
science has proved it. Russia has proved it with all their different experiments. So thank you, Russia. That the geometry of a pyramid, just the geometry, um, deflects all negative energy. Like it will not. It's it
Ah,
won't allow any negative energy. And I'm losing my words because I wasn't thinking I'm teaching. It's like it's magnetic in that way. Like just
you're talking
the
about like even at
just
like the atomic level, like it
yes.
repels electrons. If you want to look at it that
Yes.
way,
Yeah.
if that's
Thank
what it
you.
is.
Thank you for having my words for me.
Okay,
Yes, it
interesting.
repels it completely. Solely the geometry of it. Solely the so they've already Russia's already proven that. Okay, and I we can totally at some point go into why there's
Oh
so many
yeah, that's
pyramids
bringing
on
up
this
a lot of
planet.
thoughts for me. Just
But
like that.
yes, so it completely deflects it, it moves away, whatever. Nothing negative can be inside of a pyramid. So like
Hmm.
a lot they're now putting it like over their crops. They're putting pyramids over their
Really
crops because their vegetables grow better because it dispels everything negative. Right,
interesting.
even what might be in the air. Hmm. So,
Wow,
uh,
there's a lot of stuff being
in
thrown
that
in the air
way,
too over there.
right? So energetically, it is, you can do everything with it. You can, even if you just put it in your mind's eye, even if you're just thinking about it. So, like, if I'm somewhere I'm not really jiving and I'm not really liking the crowd I'm with, I will imagine a pyramid over me because nothing negative can come my way. Um,
Wow,
if we're having a storm here, like a really bad storm, I will imagine a huge pyramid over my house because no trees are falling on my house. Like anything that has negative connotation, energy,
wow,
atoms, breath, it doesn't matter. It repels it. It cannot enter. So, and that's just me paraphrasing. I go into a lot of the geometry and blah 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 and different stuff, but that's not what we're doing here. And the stars of all the ones listening are like, yeah, we've heard Courtney talk about pyramids nonstop, but it's good and it works. We can use it just even in our mind's eye. See, like that's the kind of power we have. So start meditate if you want to start meditating with a pyramid. You don't actually have to physically have one, even though I have tons around. You don't have to physically have one. You could just use your imagination and, sit inside of it. Or I use like from palm to wrist or to elbow to elbow, right? I use those as my four corners, and I just imagine a pyramid, but I might put inside that pyramid all the stuff that I want to manifest. And then I'll just sit there and I will concentrate on all that beautiful stuff going inside that pyramid that is mine. And see, where I went from Da Vinci is that Da Vinci knew that we are design, the human design, has actually three pyramids within it.
Yeah.
And so when I got to that, I was like, what's up with these pyramids? And so yeah. Anyway, science, geometry. I love geometry. I got straight A's. I don't really do great with algebra.
Not the strongest at math. That's probably one of my weaker subjects as far as all that goes, but I do love it. Like for that, how it occurs naturally in nature. It helps us describe it all
Oh, yeah.
and
Oh,
gives shape
yeah.
to incomprehensible thoughts.
Yes.
One thing that,
Yes.
okay, so when you say all this about pyramids repelling, everything negative, the first thing that came to my mind was the idea of the Holy Trinity,
Mm-hmm.
like the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and those are the three like aspects of God. And those three things, if you want to look at it like that, those three things make a higher concept, which would be the pyramid.
It
Right?
can.
Like
It
in
can.
three dimensions, like it goes from being a triangle to a pyramid, or the idea of the mind, body, and spirit. Like
Mm-hmm.
if
Yes.
you if you console all those
Yes.
concepts into one thing, it would make the shape of a pyramid.
Yeah.
And so all those things have always been like if you invoke, God or connection of wholes, like that's gonna repel anything that's outside of that. It's always been effective against evil or just negativity.
Yes. Yes. And actually, all the.
Interesting that you're saying it occurs even in nature.
Mm-hmm.
Like the shape itself, there's something to it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Shapes,
Simply the
power
shape.
and shapes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, this sounds rude, but, and I'll teach my students this, that let's say there's somebody coming to the house and you're kind of questioning like their motives. Let's say you're questioning their motives.
Hmm.
I will meditate and imagine that I'm putting a pyramid over, I don't know, my kitchen chair.
Yeah.
And so it's there. My pyramid is there. And then I'll invite that person to sit at that chair because it's my
Oh,
house. It's my house, right? So this is not so much of a permission thing. And they don't know. But if you start, but then, so talking with them, and if they're sitting there and they start, they're getting real antsy. Like they just
yeah.
can't, they're not comfortable in their chair. They kind of keep getting up, sitting down, getting that, because they don't understand why are they not able to just kind of like sit. And it's because my pyramid is presenting to me, yeah, they don't have the best motives,
Oh.
right?
And
They're,
have you like with time has it turned out to be true? Like in
yes,
hindsight?
yes. Oh my goodness.
Consistently?
Have Maddie tell you, because
Interesting.
she finally. See, this is the thing. I can teach things for years, and then people finally have to experience it for themselves. She's got a story because she finally used it. I'll just tell her story.
Okay.
Whatever. We're here. We're doing our thing.
I'm sure
It's a
she won't
great.
mind, yeah.
Yeah. So Maddie was at a different event, and there was somebody there that their energy was just very chaotic, running, running,
Mm.
running, chaotic, chaotic, and they kind of were just following Maddie through the whole damn thing. Maddie finally sits down,
Yeah.
and this person still da da da, and something clicked. My she was like, Courtney, your words came to me, and I was like, good, and and she was like, I just imagined a pyramid over me, and I was like, yeah, and she's like, within. She finished her sentence and then walked away. She never came back to me the rest of the day.
Whoa. So it acted as her shield.
And yes, it was her shield. Oh yeah, I use it for protection. I put one over my car. I put one over
Wow.
me. Nothing's gonna touch me.
That's interesting.
Nothing. So Maddie, she was in awe. I mean, she was so excited to tell me because what it was is she said, she was watching, and she was using the tools that I give her, or
Yeah,
give anybody listening, you can use this. Um,
good
but she
tips. Yeah,
finally, yeah, she finally did it, and then she actually could see in real time. Oh my goodness, this does work. She was this woman apparently was like following Maddie around for the past 40 minutes to an hour and a half or something. I mean, it was just she
that's
couldn't get away from
excessive at
her.
that point. Yeah.
Yeah, she couldn't get away from her. And then with put that she Maddie just said, I just sat there quietly, imagined my pyramid up around me. The woman finished whatever she was saying and walked away, never came back up. And
That's interesting.
so Maddie is now like, she's a believer now. She's a believer now.
Yeah, in a
Yeah.
way, like there is faith to that. Like there's faith that she
Yeah.
had in it, and what the just the raw concept of what you were describing it as being, and what they're saying it like you're saying it actually it even in real life when they're putting
Yes.
it over their crops and stuff. There's
Yes.
definitely something to that that people are
Yes.
trying just coming to understand.
Yes. That's
And
why
that's
there's
why I was saying it's
yeah.
like another. That's why I thought of the Trinity, the first thing, because it's like
Yes.
it's the same way. You're just invoking like you know the greatest results to happen, like
Yes.
to
Most
thrive
of
and get rid of
most
the
of
excess
our
that you don't want it.
most of our ancient symbols are actually just a reconfigure of either the sun or the pyramid. Most of
Yeah,
them are.
what is it? That's from the Bible. It's like there's nothing new that's under the sun. Like
Yeah,
everything is just a
yeah.
retelling of
Very
things
much
that come
so.
before. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my goodness, Josh. I went
even the
off on a
sun and the
tangent, but
moon.
that's
Like,
we were I'm sure the audience is like, yeah, she went on about the pyramids, but this is so much fun and I get excited. I to see it's that light. Like
yeah.
when I start talking about pyramids, or I even got flustered there at the beginning, like, oh, I'm gonna talk pyramids. I get so excited talking about all this stuff because for me, it's the tools to help us navigate this matrix,
Yeah.
whatever we're living in. Do you have any thoughts about what we're living in? I mean, we call it Earth. Do you think this is like a gaming system? Do you think it's like
Oh,
the
like I said, I'm a
movie?
big gamer.
You
So I
know,
grew up on games and just the idea, like I play a lot of like RPGs and game like first person games, things like
okay.
that. And you're taking control of like another character, right? You're giving it anima, like you're giving it like the movements, but you and it are like it's like a puppet to you. Like you're something at a different dimension looking in, and it's not even aware of you, but at the same time, you're like at the wheel of all its choices. And so, like, I always thought of that, like that concept again, the micro and the macro
Mm-hmm.
and like if you want to look at like our life as a simulation, then that would be that idea is like that whatever like we're given, a life. Like we're caught between basically those like two concepts, right? We're that sliver of a third, which would be life and death, and then we're something in between. Like we're
Mm.
always in between those two concepts. To live is to die. Like and then night and day. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
always that binary, sun, moon. Like anywhere you look, there's a division, and each one defines the other.
Mm-hmm.
And the point being is that like everything can be reduced to that, like those three things. And again, that kind of goes back to your idea of the pyramid, is that have to find a way to console those two concepts together within us to really be free of like the distinction between the two. Because so often people
Mm-hmm.
will see that one thing is just all good all the time but not realize that sometimes like through emergent situations you might want to try something else. Like there's a little bit of good and evil and there's a little bit of evil and good, and it's
Mm-hmm.
through your free will and your choices that you can distinguish between the two, and you've got to really find the consolation of those two concepts within to really be, self-actualized in your true self. You got to be, your conscious and your subconscious has to be one. And that's again like,
Mm-hmm.
light, dark. and then that little thing in between, which also is like the pyramid. So
Yeah.
that's the thing. Like our all of our free will, all of our choices rest within our ability to have either, good intentions or bad intentions. And that's what shapes reality around us. Like sometimes, like, I haven't met a single person in my life that they haven't gone through something really awful, like through
Mm-hmm.
trauma or whatever. And usually that happens through other people's bad choices.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's
Yeah.
what again going back, like that's one of the things. If you look at, God gives us free will to choose, and it's unconditional, and yet humans, to one human to another, it's always conditional, like from one person to another. Like there's no unconditional free will. Like the people that do believe that,
Mm-hmm.
like that people that have like the idea to choose and be free for themselves, they'll always be subject to those that are willing to commit violence towards others
Mm-hmm.
through their evil
Mm-hmm.
action. So
Mm-hmm.
again, like you got to try to find the balance between all those things and realize that like none of us are immune to it. Like there's always some bad decision that we choose for others or ourselves. Like, we could always be doing better. And so
Mm-hmm.
that's something that I like to look at is like we're just in a simulation where we're trying to understand the lessons between those two concepts. We're trying to combine two incomprehensible things together within a lifetime, and that's the game. And if you want to look at it like our soul is just the player, it's like what movements we give to our body, where we distribute our energy towards our free will to enact something that promotes growth instead of decay. And I like to think of that as like, even if you want to break it down again, like biologically in this sense, like we always, every single day, if we eat something, you have to take energy from something else and put it into your body to then use that energy in any direction you want. Like energy is
Mm-hmm.
neutral. Yeah, that's
Mm-hmm.
that third, right? Like when we talk about the third,
Mm-hmm.
neutral, then positive, then negative. Like
Mm-hmm.
even at the atomic level, there's that
Mm-hmm.
tenuous balance between all things. And
Mm-hmm.
it plays out in nature. We have to find that within ourselves. That's another way of putting what I'm trying to say is find that. Another way of putting it is just the idea of the yin yang, like that
Mm-hmm.
symbol, the yin yang. You gotta like have your light and your dark parts conjoined, your positive and your negative. Like you gotta find that balance between it all. And so, yeah, a lot of people will fail in this life or this simulation, this matrix, because they exert their energy into negative things
Mm-hmm.
or, causing, wars or whatever, anything you can think
Yeah.
of. It's everywhere around us, like all the time. Not in, and it's in a little bit in all of us. Like I said, on a micro level, maybe you make a decision in a day to not work out or break your own rules. People break their own rules all the time, like where they know better. It's like it's through your free will essentially, and
Mm-hmm.
then that's the lesson. Like we're just if you want to win the game, you learn that lesson, and if you want to look at it like that, like where you're attuned with the nature of all things. Like if you can find harmony and attunement within yourself and everyone and everything around you, then you've lived a good life and you've won that game. And what is what they call you go to heaven.
Yeah.
Like you free yourself from the cell and then you become that greater body if you want to look at it that
What do you think would free people from that?
way. Well, the idea of going back to the idea of like universal languages, trying
Mm-hmm.
to find a way for everyone to attune to the greater consciousness that we all share, which is love. Like finding again, going
Mm-hmm.
back to the idea of love being the bridge
Yeah.
between all that. And that's why you
Yeah.
look at the idea of Jesus sacrificing himself being the last sacrifice that anyone would need
Mm-hmm.
because he sacrificed himself out of love for
Yeah.
everyone. And that's the example that anyone can find that Christ in them, the idea of being anointed is being your if you want to be your anointed self, your Christ-like self, you put others above yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You become allocentric instead of egocentric.
Right.
Like that's the idea of just, and in a way you have to sacrifice who you are to really find out like who you are meant to be. Like you got to get rid of any preconceived notion of like what you are, because you got to try to find that alignment of yourself in its best versions. And you got to always question that, okay, I could always be doing better. Like
Mm.
every single day strive for being better. And then eventually you'll get to that point of being in harmony with your best self. And that's through, again, like it could be in many ways, but to even use your imagination is to, you can reach that. Like you can imagine like what is the best version of myself. But at a certain point, like if you meditate on those thoughts, you're just going to reach right back around to prayer. Like you, and you could pray in many different ways. People have different dogmas or styles, but even you with your pyramids, like that's a
Mm, I
prayer. I
love
hear
it.
that and I
Yeah.
just see
Oh
that's a
yeah.
prayer. Like
Oh
you
yeah.
can do it in any language you want. Like our languages are inherited and it's
Mm-hmm.
all like different depending on where you are in the world or what you grew up with. So you're, everyone's going to have different ways of coming to it on their own.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it could be as simple as that. It's just imagining like what can I be doing better, and then you know, forgiving yourself, but also again like getting rid of that barrier between you and the something greater than you, like God,
Yeah.
like whatever you want to call it, like that greater like
Yeah.
body that we're all a part of.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe
And
it's
it's always
maybe
there. Like
it's
it's a two-way conversation if you open up the lines to it. Uh, I took a philosophy class in college, and it was just a one-on-one class, but we read a book called Honest to God, and I can't remember who wrote it. I'm bad with proper nouns, but in it, the idea was that it was a philosopher that approached the subject of God, and what he found, he interviewed a lot of people, like in churches and different like sects of religions, in Christianity specifically. And what he realized was that a lot of people, they learned about God in the sense of like a child would. Like they learned it when they were kids. They grew up in the
mm-hmm.
church and just kept with it throughout their life. But they never really evolved what that thought of what God was. Like when we go back to the idea of like the Renaissance, those guys, they kept with it. They pondered like the depth,
Mm-hmm.
where God, like if you really think about God and the idea of the, like even if you think of it as like an invention within the human mind, it still is the greatest thing that humanity has ever even conceived of, because it's beyond what we're capable of conceiving. That's the whole point. And so, long story short, this philosopher said that God is the depth of all things. Like anytime
Mm-hmm.
you pursue depth in anything, you're reaching closer to the shape of what God is.
Mm.
And and what that's something I meditated on is it's as simple as that. God is, period.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I say that because I looked up what the word is. Like you ever looked up in the dictionary what is the definition of
I think I
is?
did a long time ago, yeah. But I'm not
Okay,
gonna
I did
remember it.
not too long ago. And if you look it up, it says to be. And I was like, okay, to be, right? And so I looked up the word be.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look up the word be, it said to me, to be is to exist. And then I
Mm-hmm.
looked up the word exist and it said unclear. No one knows what existence is. So think about that. Every time that you say the word is, and we say it all the time, we're invoking something that we can't describe. It's just, it is. It's like,
It exists. It
and
is.
that's why I say God is, because God is the answer to is. Because what did God say his name was? Yahweh, I am that I am.
Yeah.
It's God is.
Yeah.
And so again, it's like the depth in all things is what this philosopher said. And I guess that's what I said. Like I say it as simple as that. Like God is.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
if you get any more like complicated than that, like that's whenever like you're trying to give shape to something that,
The spiral turns into
yeah, by its
a
very
race
definition,
instead
yeah,
of,
it
yeah,
just, that's the
turns
depth, right?
into
Because if you look at the center of the spiral, doesn't it, you get sucked into it.
mm-hmm.
Like if you look at it like that, you get hypnotized. It's a Twilight Zone, right?
I, I,
I love
you,
the Twilight Zone. That's a great
yeah,
show.
yeah, yeah. The old black and whites and like
Yeah, the Ross Sterling, yeah.
they did the ones then they did like a remake of 'em, or new updated ones in the 90s, and those were good. All of them were good.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
Even
loved
Jordan
all of it.
Peele, I think, did one,
Yeah, I
or
think so
he
too.
did one
Yeah.
version of it. Yeah,
Yeah. I
love them. But they deal with a lot of the stuff that we're talking about too. Like even the idea
yes,
of the
yes.
Twilight Zone is that gray middle ground between
Yes.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had the
Yeah.
spiral, like yeah, at the beginning.
Yeah. I I Josh, you just said so much that, and I love God is. I use it is often.
It's the same thing,
Yeah, it's the same
right?
thing. Yeah, it's the same
It's just
thing.
that again,
Yeah.
like all of our words are just
Yeah.
mouth noises
And
at the
it's
end of the
beautiful
day. It's the
because
meaning that matters.
yes, I use it in reference of acceptance. And I
Mm,
think for me, like all that, so when I was listening to you, I was hearing the power of choice. I was hearing different levels of acceptance. I was hearing
mm.
the it is. I'm hearing even when you were talking about the sacrifice as in the love of and sacrifice within the love. For me personally, I think when a being is kind of at that level that they're ready to make that kind of sacrifice. Um, it's not even a question. There is like the term sacrifice is not
It's
even
innate, yeah.
yeah, it's not even applied. Yeah, so it's just you do. So you said so much. It was such a beautiful um
Thank you.
and honestly, all of it to me goes back to the beginning with this little light of mine.
Yes, I'm glad you asked that. And it came to, I was going to say something else, but that came to me in that moment. I knew I needed to say it. Like
Yeah.
again, like because I think that genuinely was my first, it was that first spark that led to all of this. Like it was that
Yeah.
first little, and I followed that little light ever since in
Yeah,
any way I can.
that beautiful little light in you and me that has us
Yeah,
seeking, has us connecting, has us making
yeah,
choices, has us do running all over spirals. I mean,
yes.
it's beautiful. So this
And
entire conversation, I think, really is inspired by it, the little light.
it is. And if you think about the idea of what we're saying, like it was something very little, something small that spread into an infinite number of possibilities. And if you look at it like that, it's a seed.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you look at like again, I like to use the idea of the tree like metaphors for the idea of if you would look at it the collective consciousness in a shape, the tree would be a good example of it because
Mm-hmm.
it branches out into all these different directions, both again towards the sky and also towards the ground. Like it pulls
Mm-hmm.
from, the roots as well, and the same
Mm-hmm.
pattern, right? Like the
Mm-hmm.
the branches of a tree are similar to what shape the roots take, but it grows in both directions.
Mm-hmm.
And it all started with the seed. Like the seed
Mm-hmm.
is the point. Again, mathematically, the point is the zero dimension.
Mm-hmm.
Every like you
Zero
the
point of
first dimension, the
creation.
second dimension, third, fourth, it doesn't matter which dimension like you go from there. Like there could be a
Mm-hmm.
thousand dimensions, but all of those dimensions are rooted in the seed of the zero dimension or the point.
The
And if you
point.
think of like you talking about pyramids, at the center of all pyramids is a point.
Mm-hmm.
At the center of all things is the point.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. I'm
And
loving.
that's the seed that all of our thoughts go. And again, like that would be if you look at things on a quantum level, like it all starts at that a
Yes.
point and then it branches off into infinity. And
Yes.
what we observe like in our reality is based on our choices, like where we take that branching path.
Mm-hmm.
But realistically, that's all we are is just we're just fruit of that tree, like within our lives. Like if the collective consciousness is something that we all share, like a greater body, then we're just fruit that are constantly being recycled.
Mm. Yes. Yes. I I'm happy to be a fruit. I like being a fruit.
Yeah.
I
Well, in the
enjoy it.
sense
It's
that,
such
yeah, you
a,
get like through our bodies, like
yes,
we have ancestors. We could trace that back,
we can
and
trace
each
it
one of
back.
us, yeah, it's like we're just like maybe our ancestors have all died, but it's our turn to live that life and spread our influences, spread that energy that
Yeah.
will then grow that tree.
Yes. Yeah.
And then we go back and maybe we go into the ground, but then we feed that tree too through
Mm-hmm.
our bodies.
Yeah. The circle of life. It's
And again, yeah,
beautiful.
it's just a distribution of energy at
Yeah.
that point. And
Yes.
again, like you want to try to give the good energy if you can
Yeah. I, Josh,
at all costs.
I'm sure the audience has taken so much in, and beloveds, I gotta say, from God is to the 0 point, please, everybody meditate on the 0 point.
Please do,
Seriously.
yes.
Seriously, everybody. Um, Meditate out. What was the math question again? Is
Whether
math,
or not math was invented or discovered.
yeah.
Shout out Miss Connor.
You know, right off the cuff, I want to say both. Because why the hell
I
not?
know, right? Because
You
you could
know, because,
answer that way. That's why it's so
yeah,
interested.
yeah,
Yeah.
right? Meditate on that, folks. Either way, have a great weekend. Have a great 4th of July. Josh, this has been a pleasure. Would you consider coming back on?
Sure. Yeah, this has been really fun. I really appreciate you inviting me on, and everyone have a happy 250th 4th of July,
Yeah.
250 years. Like, get it in while we can. Like,
Yeah, right? 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 Oh, I hope
yeah,
everybody
it's been great.
have fun, be safe, meditate on a whole lot of what's been said here, folks. If you need to watch this a couple of times, we'd appreciate it. Hit
That's a
that
lot to
thumbs
unpack.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, hit that thumbs up. And guys, if you want Josh to come back on, leave a comment below because I really enjoyed myself. I'm sure we have a ton of stuff that we can probably talk about
Oh, yeah.
and
Keep
ramble
going.
on with. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, totally. So, beautiful stars, thank you for joining us. Make sure to share this with others if you think that they will resonate with it. And Josh, thank you so much for doing
Thank
this,
you
man.
so much, Courtney.
Is there anything you want to leave anybody with? Just final thoughts, final words.
I think I'll just go back to what I started with. Like, let's bring it full circle and let's get back to the point of things and just follow that little light in all things.
Yeah.
And that's where like you're going on the right path that way. Just always
Mm,
follow that light.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Josh.
You're
Thank you,
welcome.
beautiful stars. Keep shining that little light that you have. Keep
Yes.
shining,
And
everybody.
I love y'all. I love everyone. Just always be like in an agent of love if you can.
An agent of love. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. I love everyone too. Oh, see, we do. My light sees your light. My light loves your light.
Yes.
With everyone. It's how we really are, and it's so good that we're starting to recognize the light. I
Yes.
really,
Truly.
yeah, everybody do as Josh says. Follow your light, follow it, and seek it, and trust that it is always there no matter how dark it gets. That light is always there, beloveds. So, good night, everyone. Thank you for tuning in, and have a great weekend, beloveds. Good night, everyone. Bye.
See ya.